Breaking news, Zepbound Plateau, secret change to timeline with some new data for you. Hi, beautiful friends. I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. I've lost over 110 pounds. Which is crazy to say, the last 2.5 years of being on Zepbound, Manjaro, and Tirzepatide compound, not at the same time. The combination of those is because of the various different shortages. And on today's episode, I've got a ton of data that we're going to go through. I'm going to break it down for you that just came out that I'm still digesting. And I want to talk to you about how important this is on your journey. First and foremost, I had shared some of this data earlier in my free encouragement group down at countessofshopping.com/group. It's a private group, not on Facebook or any of that. It's awesome. It's a really great, encouraging group. And on a previous video, I talked about this data, and I first and foremost want to offer an apology. I demanded and require of myself to be encouraging and also factually accurate. And while I was factually accurate in that video, some of this data can be heavy. It's heavy data, but it's also very encouraging data. And so I want to issue an apology if I did hurt your feelings. I never want anyone to leave with their feelings being hurt. I want you to be lifted. I want you to be encouraged. I want you to have solutions and motivations. And heavily, that's what I'm focusing on today's video to make up for that video, if that did, in terms of this plateau information. Basically what it is, there is a study, and I'm going to link it down in the description link below. Just click the ... more button. It's from Medscape, and it was released recently, a couple weeks, like 2 weeks ago, talking about these phenotypes, these characteristics that drive obesity and how that corresponds to your Wegovy weight loss journey, your Zepbound weight loss journey, if you're on compounds like semaglutide or tirzepatide, how that is going to dictate your weight plateau journey and also your weight loss journey. We know from the data that there's 4 types of responders for Zepbound and Wegovy too, but I'm going to hone in on the Zepbound component for tirzepatide. There's 4 types. Hyper responder, meaning like you lose a lot of weight very quickly on Zepbound. Normal responder, hypo responder, you're slower. These are my turtles, fellow turtles unite. We love our turtles. And then non-responders. What I had said previously in the previous video is that when breaking down this data from this new study, which is fascinating, there's so much meat to the bone on this. I always got to relate it back to food. I mean, there's a lot of meat to the bone on this about how AOM's anti-obesity medication with this trial figured out basically a couple things. One, that I had said in a previous video that the study suggests that people with obesity and type 2 diabetes lose less weight on the drug than people without type 2 diabetes, and that men tend to lose less weight than women. Many of you got very offended by that. Don't shoot the messenger. That was simply what the data is sharing. Are there anomalies to that? Of course, because obesity is a wide hoop to jump through. So can we agree on that, that there's many, many different ways to do this? All roads lead to Rome. If you are a type 2 diabetic and obese, that the studies say that it may take longer for you, but that's not true. In my free encouragement group and here on YouTube, there are so many of you smashing and breaking through those things that is not everyone. So we're lumping it together with this data as we go through these pieces. It's not everyone, but it's what the data is telling us. And so through this latest test, this is also what I said, is that effective patients lose more than 5% of their body weight within 3 months. If not within that, that's where, and this is from the Endocrine Society, by the way, that's my source to make sure I'm giving you guys good, accurate information. With the latest guidelines, that they're saying that if patients lose more than 5% of their body weight within 3 months, so say you weigh 200 pounds, within that 3 months that you lose 10 pounds. So what is that? Approximately like 3.33 pounds per month. What is that? Less than a pound a week, approximately. You see what I'm saying? So it's 5 pounds, patients lose more than 5 pounds of their body weight in those 3 weeks. From that, we can figure out from this study your weight plateau, because there's 4 of these characteristics, phenotypes, that you guys can't read this. This is for me. So if you can't read it, don't worry. It's for me to tell you. Biological drivers of obesity. We're finding there's 4 of them. And I've talked about this before, but there's more to this that you need to know so you can plan accordingly for your Zepbound weight plateau, or if you're on a different GLP-1. One, the first phenotype characteristic is hungry brain, meaning abnormal satiety. Number 2 is an emotional hunger. And tell me in the comments how many of these you have. It's fascinating. I feel like I have 4, all 4. I feel like I have all 4 as being morbidly obese. Because y'all, I did weigh over 300 pounds, honey. Like I did. I gained back all the weight that I had lost from keto and then some during the pandemic. And so emotional hunger is number 2 phenotype characteristic. Number 3 is hungry gut, abnormal satiety. It was abnormal, it was hungry brain and then hungry gut. And then number 4 was slow burn, meaning a decreased metabolic rate. We hear so much about decreased metabolic rate, but factoring in these other characteristics, these other phenotypes, is going to help you with your weight plateau. Now, what the study figured out was that it's called CTS, calories to satiation. I'm going to butcher that. Satiety. Calories, like how many calories is it going to take for you to get full? How many calories is that going to be? And for some people, it is a very wide spectrum of that. And for me, I have to break this down. And for you, for Zepbound, day 2 and day 3, for me, peak appetite suppression. The data tells us that 24 hours to 72 hours for Zepbound medication, we're going to have peak, it's peak like side effects and usually peak fullness. Then on day 5 is half-life dose. And that for me is less side effects on day 5, day 6, day 7, less side effects and less side effects and more hunger with that. So we know that, right? But factoring in these pieces is that obesity is not a single disease. It's complex. It's multifactorial condition driven by diverse biological pathways. So what we can do and what science is doing is figuring out within these phenotypes, there's 4 of them. I'm curious to say, will there be more than 4 phenotypes? So what do you think? Sound off in the comments. I was like, wow, there's just 4. They found 4. And there's what is being talked about is genetic markers with each one of these. Meaning it's in your genes, baby doll. It's in your genes and how that's going to affect your weight plateau. But then also if you are a hyper responder, a normal responder, a hypo responder, or you just don't respond at all. And the non-responders within this, it was 10% to, there was a subgroup of non-responders from 10.2% to 16.7%. There was super responders or hyper responders are 32 to 39.6%. That's a lot, y'all. That's a lot of people who are dropping like it's hot with their weight loss. And then achieving, they lost an excess of 20% of their body weight. And then there's the subgroup of the non-responders. What I said in my previous video that I know it hurt some of y'all's feelings and I felt very badly about it. You guys told me in the comments and I appreciate it. First and foremost, I wore my Minnie Mouse shirt for fall to help make it better with my apology. And 2, to take it a step further with these non-responders of what is going to happen now with science to help this 10 to 16%, almost 17% of people taking GLP-1s. I know for me, emotionally, I already felt like I was defective by being morbidly obese and then obese, that there was something wrong within me. And these medications aren't working for you. I know how that can feel of feeling like I'm defective. There's something wrong, like all these old narratives. And so with this data of how now, if you are in that subgroup, do not worry. Please don't worry. Hold on. Hang tight because science has got you. There's some cool stuff coming up with these phenotypes that is absolutely fascinating. And baby, it's going to rock your world. Let's dive in. So the next part of this study that they had with those phenotypes over 52 weeks. So if you can characterize for yourself of what you have was hungry brain, emotional hunger, hungry gut, or slow burn, meaning like a slower metabolism on there, they then could figure out the pieces with that of how long it took you for weight plateau or a slowdown in your weight loss. Mic drop. Like that for me, I was like, can I pick my jaw off the ground? That is huge that we can figure out this information, that we can puzzle piece these phenotypes, these characteristics within our morbid obesity to then figure out these pieces, because then we can start customizing our GLP-1s. And that's where I get spidey tingly. I get really, really excited about this. One of the best things that I would really encourage you, and we're going to go deep dive into each one of these with the science of how to then start ping-ponging off of them, is I am absolutely obsessed with Join Fridays. I've worked with them for my medications. They do GLP-1 plus GIP or just GLP-1. They are fantastic, all-encompassing, holistic healthcare. They have dietitian on staff. You can have one-on-one dietitian appointments, movement coaches. I mean, there's a ton of different brain components, the mindset piece that has to go along with GLP-1 medication. I'll link down below my link. You can use the discount code QUEEN, QUEEN, on Join Fridays for GLP-1 plus GIP or just GLP-1. I highly, highly, highly recommend them. They'll ship straight to your house. So you don't have to worry about running to the pharmacy to go get it. Highly recommend. I've been working with them, like I said, since October 2023. I'm one of the OGs. Literally, I contribute my success. Part of that puzzle piece was Join Fridays. And so having data like this, they are the industry leader in obesity, in my humble opinion. And so with this, check out Join Fridays, linked down below. Of course, I'll put that in the description. With these 52-week of the studies, Hungry Brain, for example, lost on average 17.4% of their body weight within 52 weeks. How helpful is that to know? So if you've characterized yourself with some of these, you can start then figuring out your weight plateaus. On average with data, again, it's multifaceted. There's so many different pieces to this and so many different solutions, but starting to get different pieces to the puzzle, how helpful is this going to be for your weight loss journey? So helpful. Next step, hungry gut. They lost on average, if they said that they had the hungry gut, that was abnormal satiety, lost on average 11.2% of their body weight, right? So it's less. If you said you had hungry gut, abnormal satiety, you had less weight loss than somebody who had, say, hungry brain, meaning abnormal satiation. Then they have this test, and this is where I'm about ready to fly across the country to go do this because I am so incredibly excited. I think it is absolutely the coolest thing. So there was 84% accuracy within this test. They used saliva from our DNA with the CTS, the calories to satiation. And so it had 84% accuracy with it. And so with this test that they have, there is a test now, friends. It's only available, it's called Phenotype test. There's only 80 healthcare clinics. I believe it's just in the US. Forgive me, I'm gonna fact check that, but I'm pretty sure it's just in the US. But within this testing that they have, that they can figure out, it was CTS and GRS testing to predict drugs response up to 84% accuracy. And for men and women, it was slightly different. So know that there's different data on that because men and women, we do need to be testing within the study. And the study testing within this was 717 adults with obesity. Mean range was 41. 75% of people in the study was women, and it was marked variability of satiation ranging from 140 to 2,166 calories to reach satiation. CTS was assessed through an ad-libitum meal combined with psychological and behavioral evaluations. They did like all these evaluations with it. And so within this 52 weeks of treatment, they found with that the kind of phenotype-based profiling allows us to predict which patients are more likely to respond and who else is going to need different medical intervention. So when you have that weight plateau, you can have different medical intervention come in. You can start to predict when that weight plateau is going to happen. Y'all, I have spidey tinglies all over me because no longer, you go back from when I started this 2.5 years ago, we didn't know we couldn't predict this. We didn't know within this, the people, like when I was on the Oprah show, do I still have that picture of when I was on there? And if you guys recall, when I was on the Shame, Blame, and Weight Loss Revolution, on the show, there was a gal, here it is. Her name was Amy. She's in the front row. She's looking at me. She's in the front row. She's looking at me. She's big on TikTok and things like that. I'm in the pink all the way in the far left. If you guys go watch and look at that replay, I look very different than I do now. I've lost a lot more weight since then. With that, Amy was a hyper responder. She lost a ton of weight. And at this point I had been on and I had lost a good chunk, I think either 50 or 60 pounds, somewhere in that, I'm after 40 to 60 pounds, somewhere in that ballpark. But it started to slow down. it started to then gradually slow down. Having this data with these phenotypes is going to be able to help us with medical intervention to circumvent having hypo-responders and non-responders. And non-responders being 10 to 16% of people taking GLP-1 medication. Y'all, this is huge. This coupled with what's coming down the pipeline with retatrutide, CagriSema, and some of these other drugs that are in the pipeline is so exciting, because then we can circumvent the pain of being like, I'm not losing weight, or I'm losing, if you're not losing, where they said in here, if it was 5% over, you had to have more than 5% of your body weight lost in 3 months. And if you didn't have that, that was considered a non-responder. And so with that, with these tests, they can start to predict, your end game with this, predict your weight plateaus, and how to give different drugs to help step in with this. Now, with this, they said the authors acknowledged this too, and you guys know I'm the first one to be like, okay, what about diverse populations? It doesn't say in here what the diversity was, because people taking GLP-1s, it's going to be different for Caucasians versus Asians versus African Americans, like having a very diverse pool to test from. They're admitting that they don't have that within this test. So keeping that in the back of our brain to make sure we're being factually accurate with all this information. And then also they talked in here about, with the different interventions, it's critical step towards eliminating this trial and error in obesity treatment. We don't need to do trial and error. We will then have, based upon this, with this testing, this cool testing, it's called Phenom Test. You guys can't read my handwriting, but it's PHENOME test. There's only 80 of them in healthcare clinics. I don't know how much it costs. I told the count, I was like, literally, I was researching today's show. I was like, I'm going to fly out there and do that. Like, I've got to do this. I don't care if it's like $3,000 or whatever. I want to do this test. I absolutely want to know. And again, it's 84% accuracy, which makes me a little bit nervous. That's low odds within it. But if it's not working and we find out it's not working, predicting this is the hot topic that they're trying to figure out now, of why there's hypo-responders and non-responders. And for our type 2 diabetic brothers and sisters, we know straight out of the gate, the data tells us, I don't tell you that, the data tells you that, so don't get mad at me for saying that type 2 diabetics lose more slowly. It is factually, like, that's not my stats, that's the data. You very well may be an outlier for that, and I give you so much high five. You guys know I'm your biggest cheerleader for wherever you're on in your obesity journey, so don't get mad at me. But with this validated tool for predicting response to specific medications in there is going to give also then a side effects profile. So do you have blowout diarrhea? Do you have nausea? Nausea is the most common side effect that people have on GLP-1 for like Zepbound. I'm saying for TIRZEPATIDE, and I'm pretty sure it's also for SEMAGLUTIDE, meaning WEGOVY. I'm talking fast in today's video because I'm so excited. Like, literally, it's taking my breath away. This science is going to circumvent so much pain, money, and wasted time for us in the obesity community, because we can go through on this. Then also, so many people stop. The stats are staggering of how many people don't continue with GLP-1 medications after the first year. The reason given is for side effects, and then of course finances, but side effects. So then you can have specific side effect profile for each specific patient, including contraindications, benefits for independent weight loss, for like cardiovascular protection for semaglutide, average efficacy, financial accessibility for patients. Then you can also do this. So right now, predicting responders isn't straightforward. Despite looking at the baseline demographic data such as race, ethnicity, age, weight, and BMI, we are unable to predict who will lose more or less weight. One exception is that women generally lose more than men. However, even among females, we cannot discern which females will lose more weight than other females. If an individual is not showing sufficient weight loss on particular medication, we first explore potential reasons that can be addressed. Like, they're not taking medication, the patient's not taking medication, they're skipping doses, making lifestyle changes of diets and physical activity. But often patients who don't lose at least 5% of their body weight within 3 months are not likely to respond well to the medication, even if they remain on it. So early response rates dictate longer term success. However, I'm going to jump into this article. What if we then had these phenotypes to know going into it, and then corresponding with the medications that are coming out, we then could predict that with this test. The data is not telling this. This is my Countess of shopping analysis within this, is where I think this is going to also help predict weight plateaus. Because if you know you're going to be a slower responder, a hypo responder, or a non-responder, that is also going to indicate other medications you can add on to this straight out of the gate, like within the first 30 days or 60 days. Again, I'm not medical at all. This is not healthcare, and this is not always talk to your own healthcare provider. This is me sharing to provide a healthcare conversation with your own healthcare provider. We all have very different medical backgrounds. And so again, the hoop for this is going to be very different and very wide for all of us. But having these different pieces to pull from for us on our own individual journeys to pull from is so exciting. It goes through that the key is that the treatment decision is rooted in the patient's biology and not just reaction to short-term results. And I think, so forgive me, this is where I offer an apology. On my previous video where I talked about this, I was talking about the short-term results. And that is where I was narrow-sighted, and many of your comments, you were very hurt by what I said. And so again, I sincerely apologize for that, because it was narrow in my thinking versus the long-term strategy, the long-term results of looking at that. It's rooted in our own biology and emphasizing the importance of long-term follow-up and support with that. So I dropped the information, and that's where I went wrong, and where I will personally take accountability and work on my future YouTube videos with that. Now, I want y'all to stay, I meant to say this at the beginning of the video, but I was going to do all the praise and recognition, and since I didn't recommend it, I don't know how many of y'all are watching at the end. Within our group, I'll do a separate video on this. Within our group, we had so many people, the count put up in our free encouragement group on countessofshopping.com/group, new milestones. Every 10 pounds you lose, you can get a badge next to your name with your weight loss if you choose to. Some people don't choose to. I do. And my weigh-in video, I told you I was down 110 pounds. The reason why is because my badge said I had lost 100 pounds. And I'm like, that's not true. I've lost 108 pounds, but you can't, and the way the system works, do it. It has to be in 10-pound increments. It really did push me. I told the count, I was like, your badges really did push me. It really did push me to get to the next level. So on this video, I'm going to do the top 10 milestone folks. But in a future video, I'm going to list them, and there's 100 people. So it was, I'm just going to do first names, but Tracy, Chrissy, Catherine, Kelly, Julianne, Jennifer, Margaret, Ebony, Mary were some of our first. They had lost their first 10 pounds within that. And then I'm going to do a separate video of our highest weight responders so far. We're Daryl, Keena, Nigilin, Joan, Naomi, Dare, Winona, Amelia, Patricia, Tanya, Lori Ellen, Diana, Fee, Elaine, Amanda, and I'll do another video with all 100 of everyone's for this. It was just for this month. So it's a cool new feature in our group. I love that. And our group is free. You don't have to pay for it. I pay for it. The count and I pay $1,000 for it, but we do that as our gift to y'all because that group is literally life-changing, truly. Like, I am so motivated. Make sure you get there is a free app, but get it from countessofshopping.com/group. I find that the experience is much better having done the website of it and done the app. The app is so much better because I can check it. Like, I put it on my main page of, I'm not gonna show you my cell phone front, but on my home page of my cell phone, it's right here on my buttons. And then I have my other stuff here, like my YouTube and then my Instagram. And then I can easily just push on this like I would when I go through to check all of my socials. And I typically do it morning, afternoon, and evening. I get like this boost of like adrenaline, of excitement. So this study is huge. So to kind of put it all together, a partridge in a pear tree with all of this, like not a partridge in a pear tree. To put it all together, I was about to say in a ball of wax. My analogies are whack, by the way. That was whack. This is whack. I think I'm so excited about my Minnie Mouse shirt. My Minnie Mouse shirt so excited about October. The point of this, let's condense it into the bottom line, is that these phenotypes are telling us within the data of who's a short-term responder. We then can start piecing out if you're a non-responder or a hypo responder, what's coming down the pike is then individualized treatment within this. And that's exciting for me. Pinpointing. We can already pinpoint the hungry brain phenotype, for example. We know that they lost an average of 17.4% of their body weight within 52 weeks. You can tell the weight plateau with somebody, though, if they have hungry brain versus hungry gut as one of the phenotypes, one of those obesity characteristics. The hungry gut lost 11.2% of their body weight on average. So knowing that which one you are, that is going to dictate then your weight plateau. And what's coming down the pipeline is then we can start doing it, we meaning like, not me because I'm not medical, but the medical people, healthcare providers can then start doing interventions within this. I highly recommend if you are looking for a GLP-1 plus GIP or just a GLP-1, to check out Join Fridays. I'll have the link down below. Use my discount code QUEEN, Q-U-E-E-N. It's mailed directly to you. I've used them since October 2023. I love their all-encompassing holistic healthcare that they have with the one-on-one dietitian. It used to be group coaching and now it's one-on-one. They have mindset coaching, and it's not just about weight loss. It's about the overall holistic health of lifestyle changes, and the support that they give with those lifestyle changes is huge. So my beautiful friends, I'm fired up. I'm pumped. This information to me makes me so happy. And also, I feel like I wanted a redemptive video for people who I said about the 90 days, about that it's going to show short-term results about long-term success. And that is not factually accurate within what we're finding within this. And so please forgive me. Please forgive me. And please forgive me for being short-sighted on that. As I continue to grow and learn, y'all, I've done over 1,000 YouTube videos. And so I'm still learning and growing. And so when I make a mistake, I want to own up to it and I want to fix it. So hopefully that helps. I have a lot of videos where I do fix my mistakes as we learn more. This industry changes literally on a daily basis, which is why you should click the like and subscribe button. And if you haven't shared this video with your bestie, your GLP-1 bestie, what you doing? Go ahead and share it. Our emoji of the day is going to be a pumpkin in honor of my Minnie Mouse shirt. A pumpkin, and I do emojis of the day to get to know you better because I care. And it's like my bat signal. That's literally how people I know, I'm like, oh yeah. I know people really well as a result of that. So because of them commenting every day, these emojis of the day. If you're watching from your TV, you can easily just pop on your phone and pop that emoji in there too, because I want to know you too. And I know there's many of you watching on your TVs now. I was literally watching my YouTube. I started watching my YouTube shows because they have, if you have kids, we used to not watch YouTube on our TV. YouTube's put on passcodes, so you can have a kid's profile with it locked. So my profile is locked from my kid with its own passcode. FYI for TV folks, which is huge because that's why we didn't have it on our TV, because we didn't want our almost 10-year-old son watching my own YouTube stuff. So emoji of the day, accountability question, what are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? Tell me in the comments below. And my sweet friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. I love you guys so super much. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye, guys.